Okay, so I've been asked to reproduce a gasket, which is from a classic British motorbike, apparently. And so I've made a model for it in 123D Design. I thought I'd go through the process because it only took a few minutes. And basically I've measured it up, and the centre hole is 29.8 millimeters diameter, and this outside bit is 41.5 millimeters diameter, measured from edge to edge there. And I used the calipers and then measured from the inside of that hole to that, from there to there, and from the outside of that hole from there to there, and worked out that they're on 51 millimeter centers, and that used the calipers to measure the holes, and they're 8 millimeter holes. And then I measured from that edge to there, and that's 5 millimeters, so that's 4, and so that's like a 9 millimeter radius over there, and that is a tangent to those circles. So I thought I'd just go through how I'd make that in 123D Design. Now, this is out of date, obsolete software by many years, but I love this software because I know how to use it. So basically, this is how I go about making it. So that's, these things here are the circles that make up this part, and they're 9 millimeters radius. So let's bring up a cylinder and drop it down, and it's going to be 9 millimeter radius. So I'm typing it on the keyboard, 9. Put it down there. I'm going to duplicate that, Control C, Control V, and move the copy to 51 millimeters along, and put it down. And then I need this big circle, which is the main circle part of here, and that is a radius of 20.75. So I'm going to make a cylinder. Doesn't matter where I make it because I'm going to move it in a second. Type in 20.75. All of these are 20 millimeters tall, but we're going to change that in a minute. And then what I'm going to do is use the magnet to stick that to there, and then click on it and press D for drop, so it's down on the bottom line. Now, to move that to the center position, that needs to be at 22.5 millimeters along. So click on it so it's highlighted, press move it along 25.5 millimeters. So that's now in the center. So we're well on the way to making our shape. And we have these things which are going to be used for cutting out the holes, and they're 4 millimeters radius. There, 4 millimeters radius to make 8 millimeter diameter. So bring up some more cylinders. Over here. Radius 4, put it down. We'll stick it with a magnet to that hole, that cylinder there. And I'll duplicate that and Control C, Control V, move it over there, let go, use the magnet to stick that to there. Right, and now I need another cylinder, which is going to be the hole, which is center hole, 14.9 millimeter radius. So make another one, put it down there, anywhere will do, 14.9, typed in on the keypad, press enter. That's going to be the hole, and I'm going to stick that to there, which is going to be the place it gets cut out of. So that's how I make the basic stack of primitives that I need. Now, what I'm going to do is to make a copy of this slot and move them over to the right hand side a little bit. I'm going to do Control C, Control V, stick them over here so I've got something to work with, and put them down. And then I'm going to glue with combine, merge there. I'm going to glue that bit, and that bit together. Press enter. Now those three are now one piece, and that's on the way to being that shape, but these bits need to be filled in. So I'm going to put a fillet here. See, if I was to put in a fillet, press E for fillet. If I put 5 millimeter radius, that would be nice, but it's not the right radius, is it? So I'm going to make it 2 meters radius, and that's as near as damn it to a straight line. So we do that again. E, 2000, over here, E, 2000, over here, E, 2000, and that should be the shape of the gasket, if I've done this right. And I think I've done it right. Right, now it's too thick, so this is at the moment is 20 millimeters high, which if I want to measure that to find out, I click on the measure and click on that edge, and it would tell me that it's 20 millimeters high. So I'm going to click on this surface and go to press pull to move it. I'm going to move it down. If I go all the way to 20 millimeters, then it would be gone. I want it to be 3.5 millimeters thick, which is 16.5 millimeters of movement. So that should be 3.5 millimeters thick, that thing that's left. And let's check. Oop, wrong thing. Measure. From there to there, 3.5 millimeters. Great. That's what I want. Now I want to drop these things down because I'm going to use those to cut holes in that. So select it, press D for drop. Select it, drop, select it, drop, and you see those go all the way through to the baseline. I'm nearly finished. Take that, make another copy. Control C, Control V, move it along 100 millimeters, put it down, and then use this to subtract out the things that I want to take away. So with the subtract tool, you click on the thing you want to keep and then click on the things you want to take away. Press enter. There is my gasket. That there, I'm going to colour it in to a colour which stands out from all the other ones to tell me that that's the finished thing. And this is the thing that I'm going to 3D print to compare with the actual gasket to see if it feels like it's the right size and so forth. And if it is right, then I'll use that for making the CNC toolpath as well. So there you go. That's the gasket. Didn't take that long. Yeah. And incidentally, the reason that I keep making copies of the work as I go along is 123D Design is not a parametric program, and so going back in your work after you've saved the project and reopen it again is very difficult. If, for example, I'd only saved this final version of the gasket and didn't have any of the previous versions, I wanted to move the position of the holes around, that would be very difficult. You'd have to fill in the hole somehow and then make another primitive and make a new hole. Whereas the way I work, I keep a history of the work in progress as the piles of primitives that I use to create the work. And so if I wanted to move the hole, I would just go back to the previous version of the set of primitives, move the hole, make a new copy, Control C, Control V, move it down, excuse me, do the subtract, keep that, subtract those, and there's my new gasket with the holes moved. I couldn't do that if I only had that final item to work with. So that's why I keep a stack of things in my projects, because in this software it was the only way to actually enable you to go back and change anything. I still like this software though. Okay, so in Kirimoto I've actually already done the toolpath. Start this up, and this is the thing imported. All you would do is you would go Files, Import, and then open the file, and it would appear on your workspace like so. Let's orientate this round. It's actually that way up on the workbed, like so. And I've used two outline operations which you add by selecting one of these things here. So I've selected outline, and for the first operation I have used the inside only selection. I'm using a 6mm end mill, which is one of my favourite end mills because I've got half a dozen of them in the shed. I've used a feed mill of 450mm per second, plunge rate of 300 millimeters per second, and a step down of 1 millimeter per pass. So when it makes a tool path, it will do a cut of 1 millimeter deep and then do whatever it's going to do, and then it'll do another cut of 1 millimeter deep and do it in 1 millimeter increments. So with this first operation, it should hopefully do these inside only. It should do these holes, and then in the second operation for this one, it should do the outline, because the second one was set to outside only and told it not to do holes. So to find out what it looks like, you do slice, and once it's done slice, then you tell it to preview, and there's the tool paths. And from the preview, you can't readily tell what's in what order, but you can see that it's done all the bits I want. And you can also see from this that here it does a cut and does a cut, but then it, on the last two cuts, it doesn't cut this section here, which is the tab, which will mean that this bit doesn't fly around and fly across the room when it eventually cuts all the way through. So it won't cut all the way through because I've got tabs on two parts of the outline. This part probably will fly across the room because I haven't put any tabs on this part. And so then you can do animate and see what it will actually look like. So we can press play. You see it does the circle. Oh, then, okay. And then it does the outline. One pass, second pass, third pass. Oh, and it's leaving the tabs, there you see. And that's the end of the animation. So that toolpath, I then go to export, tell it to export it, and I would say download as a zip file, and it would say I want to save it as, and it would say where do I want to save it, and I would tell it to put it in a bike thing for Mr. V over here. Save it. I've already done that, and I've already gone out and cut them actually. So here's what happens when you go out to the CNC machine. And here's my CNC'd metalwork. Not too bad. The snap-offs are thin enough that I should be able to bend that backwards and forwards, snap these out, and then tidy it up with a pair of tin snips. There we go.